Hi everyone. In this video, I'll be creating a RAG based application in SpringBoot using Spring AI libraries. So this Spring application will connect with two different external services. One is vector database and another one is LLM model. I have created already the API keys in the console, um, uh, Redis console and as well as Grok console. So uh, in this example I'll be implementing two APIs, one for updating the knowledge base in vector database and one for calling LLM model. So before calling LLM model, basically we retrieve the similar content, or we call it as a similarity search or a semantic search. We'll get the relevant content from vector database and then we will call the LLM model. So LLM model is going to answer based on the context, because yeah, this you can consider as a use case for a chatbot in any application, because uh, the content is basically a private to an organization. It is not public and LLM cannot recognize the private data. So that is the reason we will be using this RAG architecture for this specific use case. So now I'll go to the Spring AI documentation. Will before creating the APIs and relevant configurations. Yeah, here if you see, I'll go one by one. The first thing is Mistral AI. I'm using Mistral AI for embeddings. Basically, to store data in vector database as embeddings, we need a certain library or an API. So here I'm using Mistral API for creating embeddings. I have created already API key in Mistral console. The first change was we have to copy this this dependency in pom.xml. Now I already did this, and this is a working example. I'll just go through each and every change. At the end, I'll replace the actual key values, and then we will test both the APIs. So this is a dependency I have copied already. A Mistral AI. I'm using 1.0.0.snapshot version. Changes, yeah. So this one we have to create these two pins. The first one is Mistral API, Mistral AI API, and and the parameter is API key. We will be creating Mistral AI embedding model. So for this object, for this bean, we need these parameters in the constructor. First one is Mistral AI API, and then these are default options. I'll be taking the default things: model, Mistral embed, and encoding format is a float. I think while storing this um, what is called tokens in vector database, it will create as a a series of floating point numbers. That's altogether different concept. So I'm not going in the detail on that. So yeah, these two objects we need to create. I'll go to the example, the SpringBoot example. So I have created a Spring AI configuration class. Yeah, this is the bin. Same thing I'm doing here as well. Mistral AI API, and this will be, I'll replace at the end within my actual key API key, and then we will test it. So Mistral AI embedding model, and in this new Mistral AI embedding model, and these are the parameters. This is the first, this bin, and remaining things are default options. So the AI embedding model is ready, and the embedding model object is ready. So I'm creating this as a bin because I'll be using this in the while creating vector store. So I'll go there later. So we'll go one by one. The first thing was embedding model was ready. Now I'll go to the second part. What is I forgot to mention you. So here I'm using manual configuration. Also provides auto configurations, but for now I'll go with the manual configuration because most of this will work in any version of Spring Boot. That's the reason I'm going first with this approach. Next is Redis. As usual, we have to copy this pom.xml dependency. AI Redis store, and the same version will be there. Then on the changes part, the first thing we have to create a Redis pooled bean. So this bean is basically we have to supply the Redis connection values, host number, port number, username, and password. So this bean for connecting with Redis database. In my case, I have created one account in Redis Cloud. Here they have mentioned only port number, but the version what I am doing is I need to supply all the values, username, password, and everything. So this is host value, port number, username, and password. So that is pooled bean is ready. This bean is basically used while creating vector store. Okay, I'll go to the second thing, and this is what you know. This is where we are creating vector store. This method is taking Redis pooled bean and embedding model which we have created previously. So this is the code for creating vector store. Vector store Redis vector store dot builder. This is the first parameter Redis pool embedding model. Remaining things I'll be taking default things. Was default. If you want to explore further what exactly those things, you can check it out on the Spring AI documentation. What I'm creating it. Redis full bean is ready. Embedding model is ready. And this is we are creating this Redis vector store dot builder. This vector store is ready as a bean so that you can wherever you want you can auto this vector store to interact with the vector database. Second thing was ready. First thing was embedding model, and vector database is ready to store data or organization data into the vector database. The next one is about chart model. So again at the end we have to connect with LLM, right? Because either it is a RAG or a non-RAG. At the end definitely we need an LLM model in this AI context. So here I am using Grok actually. I created the keys everything when the API keys in a Grok console. Let's go with the changes. First thing, you have to copy this dependency. Here also I'm going with the manual configuration. First thing was in demo pom.xml. I'll be creating this Spring AI OpenAI. This was a dependency. I copied same thing. Everything I'm just doing from the Spring AI documentation. Nothing else. So the next thing is about creating this OpenAI bean. This is the endpoint of this Grok model, and this was an API. Remaining things are mostly I'll be taking the default things. So OpenAI, creating OpenAI bean and creating OpenAI chart options. While creating the chat model, we will supply these two parameters, OpenAI API and the chat options. Yeah, actually I'm doing this in the test control and the post construct annotation. So I mean while initializing this bean created, so this will be available in the respective endpoints in this particular class. So a OpenAI API.builder. I think this builder method is required in the version what I'm using, but I think here they are not doing like that. It's still okay because maybe the versions are different the one I'm using. This is API key. I'll replace this again at the end before testing. Basically this is a grok slash compound mini. I'm using this model because this is a working model when I'm testing the APIs and a grok APIs. In my post manual I'm exploring it. This is a working model, so working model. That's the reason I'm taking this as a reference. You can explore what all different versions are there. Definitely every LLM will have certain versions for the period of time, then do it and all. For now just taking the working model and temperature is all about the accuracy point of view. Chat options are ready, API is ready. So this is what I'm creating it. OpenAI chat model. This pin is ready. So this object is ready. So I'll go to the next part of where going to use it. So I'll just summarize. You know, three three things are ready. One is embedding model, and next one is about a vector database to store our knowledge base, and third one is about a chat model to invoke LLM. So all are ready. So I think let's go to these APIs as well. as I mentioned, we'll be testing couple of APIs, right? The first API is a knowledge, updating the knowledge base. So I'll be creating this as a get method. There is one request parameter knowledge. So out of this knowledge, we need to create documents. So this list of new document. This object is basically from the Spring AI libraries. Nothing else we are doing it. This was again I took it from the Spring AI documentation only. So these documents we need to add it to the vector store. As and when this line is executed, this knowledge base is going to update in vector database. So yeah, I'll tell you how this is going to be useful. Next, this is the first one is just updating the knowledge base. Just assume like you know you're implementing a chatbot in your website or any of your company or any of your specific products or services. The first thing was we store the knowledge in our database, that is called vector database, and while calling LLM we have to supply the relevant content. So that's where we are going there. This is an final actual endpoint where we will answer the user questions. So this is again a get endpoint. The this is a request parameter is there search. We do the similarity search. If you see vector store dot similarity search, and it will return the list of documents. So basically Spring internally will handle all these things. This is called a semantic search. Usually what it will do, it will get all the similarity content from the vector database based on this input query. So these documents we will supply to LLM to answer the question. So here again the template is very important. The template is basically advise the LLM model to answer the question. So out of the context, what we are saying, your helpful assistant expertise in some question and answers, use the following context and answer the user question. So that's the reason this template is very important, so that LLM is going to answer based on the context, nothing else. If LLM is not able to identify a relevant answer, so maybe we can also mention some standard text like I don't have this information or something else. Those things also we can even mention in this template. I'll be creating map to two variables. Context is one thing and question is one thing. Question is the actual input and context is from the relevant content from the vector database. I'll be creating prompt template. This is again as per the Spring AI documentation only. What it is there in in the chat model. If you see chat model dot call is there. Here we are passing the prompt, but I have a dynamic content is there, so I'm just extended it. This is also from Spring AI documentation. The prompt is ready. Prompt template. Prompt is ready. Model dot call. So in this call method, I'll be supplying this prompt object, get result, get output, get text. So this is the response. That's it. The next step is what I'll do. I'll just pause for a second and I'll replace all the API keys with actual values. I'll replace it and then we'll test both the APIs. Again, at the end in the description, I'm going to give the complete code link, so you can go through it. Now you don't need to worry if something you're not able to get it. In the example, I have mentioned everything. You can simply uh, go through that URL and understand everything. How we are doing it. This is very basic level of RAG implementation. You can extend further if you have more complex use cases. Yeah, I'll just pause now. Okay, application is started. So let's test both the APIs. One is updating the knowledge base and calling the LLM model. So I've created these two APIs already. The first one is the first one is knowledge base API. I'll be sending this request parameter. I'm giving some random knowledge base. This knowledge base is some ABCD company and contact details or something, email at the rate of email, phone 23123. You're a map post company, something. I'm just giving some random text. In your case, might be a different content and there might be a file or something, because in real time scenarios, definitely we have more number of FAQs or a product related information or a service related information or anything about your product and services or your platform. So everything we can keep it as a knowledge base in the vector database, and then when user send a question in the chart from the chart section or in the chart board, we will use the knowledge base, and then we will invoke LLM model to answer based out of this context. I'll just call this API. Yeah, this is updated, right? So the API success, that means the data is updated successfully in vector database. I'll go to the next API. Yeah, this is a search API. This is basically the user question. Assume like in your chatbot, user coming to your website and asking the questions like how to contact, what are your products, so how to use this product, and how do I contact, what are the prices, everything. Whatever user can ask everything about your website or your platform. So I'm just taking how to contact. So based on this question, I'll expect LLM to answer based out of this context only. So I mentioned here some phone number, this one, and email, this one. So definitely I'll expect this grok model to answer these things only, not anything else. Let's see. I'll just call this API. Yes, excellent, right? If you see the we got the information from the same knowledge base, nothing else. Yeah, and yeah, I think this is basic formatting whatever I'm using currently, but there are certain libraries in Spring AI where we can uh, do that advanced level of formatting or creating a relevant beans, and all those things are there, and you can explore those things. Yeah. Just to summarize, this is a use case for any chatbot application in the website. We are storing our knowledge base in some vector database, and we are while calling LLM model, we are supplying the semantics similarity content or a similarity information from our vector database, and then LLM is just answering based on the context, right? Yeah, thank you for watching this video. I'll be doing more videos on the other implementations like setting up LLM in the local, and creating agents, and agentic framework and all those things. Thank you so much.